All right, this is episode 8 of the This That podcast. This week I've got a very handsome man on the podcast.
Ooh.
Somewhat even more handsome than myself, which is hard to come by.
Oh no.
I do stand next to this man sometimes and I'm like, fuck, I'm not quite there. So welcome to the podcast, Harry Taggart. How you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm flustered now. That was quite the intro you gave me.
I try to do a different intro for everyone. I'm still trying to find my feet with how to introduce people. I want to end up, have you ever seen the guy that introduces the wrestlers and the UFC fighters? And he does the big long introduction. Yeah. I want to be like Bruce Buffer.
You got to give us intro music.
Mate, I need to program fucking intro music. Oh, mate, maybe that's actually, I'm going to write that down. That's a good idea. I'll ask guests what their intro music wants to be. And then they can come on to their own intro music. Sick, mate. You are improving the podcast one suggestion at a time, mate.
Thank you.
How are we doing? I've heard it's fucking freezing over in Scotland just now.
It's fucking -5 now, mate. And you know what? This has been one of the warmer mornings. Yesterday it was -10 in the morning.
Oh, mate, that's unheard of for the
crazy.
UK. Like, when
mate,
past 10 years, like, we've got maybe -1, -2 is the max, but -10, where the fuck is that coming from?
It's wild. And what is it like in Australia just now?
Well, mate, it was kind of miserable the last few days, but right now it's currently 7 p.m. and it's like 17 degrees. It's going to be 19 tomorrow, 21 the day after, 23 the day after that, 24 the day after that, mate. So
what's your idea of miserable now that you live in Australia?
Miserable was like 13 degrees and like raining. I was like, I'm not chuffed with this weather at all.
My fucking heart bleeds for you, mate.
Mate, that's the thing, is like, I'm living with these people in Melbourne, obviously all Aussie, and they're all like, this weather's shit and that. And then I phoned my dad yesterday. I was like, how's it going? He's like, it's actually -10. And I was like, okay. My problems aren't as bad as your problems.
Not so bad.
I've not got it as bad as I thought it was. Awesome, mate. Right. I've started off the podcast differently in different ones, I'm sure, to a few. So
yes,
I'm gonna be a bit loose with this format. So I'm gonna start with a bit of an introspective question for you.
Okay.
Obviously, you're in a profession just now, but before that, at some point, we were all kids. So when you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Mate, honestly, not a Scooby. So I think I went from like year to year changing my mind. I always had a different new idea. Like at one point I was in like third year and I was like, I want to work with Microbots and make Microbot shit. I didn't even know what they do now, mate, and I was still saying that when I was like 15.
What the fuck's a Microbot?
I think I watched a film and it was all these little tiny robots that like you control them all as one and they make big structures together because like they all work together but they're that small. It comes across like bigger things. Or like Iron Man's suit. That's made of Microbots, mate.
Okay.
So I'm watching all these films, that's cool as fuck. I want to do that. And then I realised I don't think I quite have the brains for
that. Did you make any steps towards it? Did you have like an Iron Man suit in your garage at home at 15 years old?
Mate, I just watched Marvel. And I took notes. I could do that.
Did you actually take notes? You got a pen and paper out while you're watching Iron Man?
I had my head. I was like, that can't be that hard. Like, if someone's thought of this, it can't be that hard. But I just say that to teachers and stuff in school. But I'm going to build Microbots.
And what did they say?
Like,
what kind of reactions do you get from teachers?
I kind of dismiss them for I go on, mate. Yeah.
That cunt's got a fucking loose dream, mate. Let him go wild with it.
Aye. So I just had it in my head, and I thought I was alright at school, so I need to go to uni. And that was just my kind of mindset that I need to go to uni. And then when
backtrack before this.
Sorry.
So Microbots, anything else? Let's go back even further. So when you're like...
Even further?
Yeah, or like, even if it wasn't a job, what was like the thing that you
Well, do you know what?
aspire to most?
When I was younger, I did like the idea of like the army or something, or some kind of like military. But then that was only when I was proper young, like still in primary school.
Mm.
That's just because you're a wee guy. I think it sounds cool.
Yeah.
There was no actual like thing towards it. It was just apart from it sounded cool when you're young.
Yeah. Was there any influence in your family? Anyone in your family in the armed services?
Well, not necessarily on a specific career. They just kind of influenced to go to uni because at this point, like my mum, my dad, and that, my brother and them had been to uni. So they just went, "Oh, if you can do it, you should go." And that was always like once I went into high school, that was always kind of put into the back of your head, like I need to go to uni for something.
I think that's fed to pretty much all of us as well. Like that's something that was fed to me. Pretty much everyone I know as well. It's just like the common path, and it's not even just the parents. It's everyone in the school.
Skill set and all.
Yeah, it's a weird one because when I look back, I really heavy enjoyed uni, but I wish I'd done something like a modern apprenticeship and gained a really relevant skill as well as an education around it. It's kind of fried that they push it so much, but I guess it's a money making thing. As much as we may try. I
think I would have liked the idea of uni. Like, see the lifestyle, like they go out and stuff, and they kind of living like a student. I think I would have liked that part.
You would have loved it, mate. Uni was a complete fuck around for 4 years. Uni was just a break from being an adult for 4 years, is what it was. That's
a good way to put it.
I had more merit in a weird way because you've got 4 years of not really doing anything. It gives you a lot of time to sit and think, what I actually want to do. So instead of going into a profession or a trade straight after high school, you take a bit longer and you trial a bunch of different things. So it was good in that respect. It's a weird one, but it was good in that respect. But
I think it's so easy to make the wrong choice when you do go straight for a profession, and then that's you. Like as soon as you get that trade, if it's like some kind of engineering thing, that's you kind of pigeonholed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You make that choice. You're 16, 17, and sometimes it's too late to go back. But you've already made the choice. You don't even know if you want to fully do it.
Who knows? For me personally, I didn't know at 17 years old. The only thing I knew from a very young age is that I wanted to make a fucking shit ton of money. That's something that's been a constant for as long as I can remember. I knew that I wanted to make money. But
for as long as I've known that you've always been like that. You've always been wanting to make money and wanting to travel about.
I'm a money hungry, narcissistic cunt that likes travelling about the place. So,
I'm an awful person.
I'm actually a horrible human being, mate. For anyone listening, don't interact with me. Don't even look at me. Avoid me if possible.
He hates Christmas and all.
No, don't listen to him, kids. Don't listen to him, kids. I love Christmas, mate. I love Christmas. I'm just like, I feel as if I'm coming more like my dad, though. Like, I don't know about your dad, but my dad, he was always like, I'm not arsed about Christmas at all. And now I'm kind of getting to that stage where I feel as if you are very much the opposite. You're an excitable person. I can imagine you getting excited about Christmas.
I am, mate. I get buzzing.
Yeah, I knew it. You get Mariah Carey blasting in the car, didn't you?
Always. First thing in the morning. But Christmas is always a bit funny for me because, like, the last kind of few years, it's either been exciting because I'm home for Christmas, or it's been exciting because I've been on deployment. I'm coming back in December time, so I associate Christmas time with just being home.
Got you. It's that one bit of respite from work and that one bit of seeing all your family and friends. Yeah,
so it's either a double whammy of getting home and it's Christmas, or like this year, I've been pretty much in Britain the whole year, so it's just been exciting just being around for Christmas and not missing half it.
How are you finding it being back home after being on deployment for so long?
It's good, mate. It's good kind of respite. Like, it's still a bit annoying because I'm still working in Portsmouth and I'm in, obviously, Glasgow. So for any Aussies that are listening, that's like a 7.5 hour car journey. So it's good still being local, but I've still got to twice a week do that drive.
Yeah, it's a fucking long drive. What do you do for the drive?
Yeah,
do you get tunes on? Do you get any podcasts on?
Change. I was having tunes and I'd be driving and I'd just hear the with the hard shoulder. I'd wake up, fuck, I was asleep. I was asleep.
Has that actually happened to you before?
More than once, mate, yeah.
Okay.
It's when, if I leave on a Thursday, if I leave on a Thursday at like 4 o'clock in the evening and I'm driving until like midnight, that's when I can get a bit sleepy.
Yeah, you need to get some energy drinks, don't you? A few keys on the wheel, maybe.
Yeah, that, or I have weather. Well, I have weather originals sometimes because I can like suck them and they keep me going. And one time, I was like, sucking on it too hard. Yeah, but I had it in my mouth for too long, and I done quite the mighty suck. And it just flew to the back of my throat. So I was driving, I was like, I'm about to die at the wheel on weather originals.
Mate, that's probably the worst way to go, mate. That is the worst way to go.
Mate, that is the worst.
Death via weather's original.
What a weak man.
It's terrible, mate. For being able to bench 115 for reps, mate, weather's original taking you out is embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
God, I know. I'm a sad man.
But anyways,
Death by toffee.
Going back to this before we got onto this tangent, you were just about to say, just before, don't apologise, I brought you on this tangent. We're in this journey together, my friend.
That's it.
We were talking about how you were about to say something about how just before maybe 5th or 6th year, and you were talking about university and stuff and what you were thinking at that point.
Yes. Yeah, so this is when I was still kind of in the mindset. I'm going to some uni to do some course, I don't know what yet. And do you remember in 5th year when they have those like uni conventions and all the different unis go and set up their stalls and the colleges go and that and they're all trying to like rope you into their one?
Yeah, they're trying to sell you with hot uni students, like hot 21-year-old girls and you're a little 18-year-old boy.
Stirling, I'll come to Glasgow.
Yeah. So it's clickbait.
So it was one of them. One of them that I went to, and I was walking about just fucking not an idea what I was wanting to do, and there was a Navy stand there, and that's when I got chatting to the guy, and he was like, he asked me about my qualifications, like my hires and stuff. I said what I was interested in. I said like engineering, and he said, well, why don't you go for this as a weapons engineer? I was like, sounds alright. And then that was really it. Basically after that night I got home and I applied for it, and it was a bit of a long wait. It was kind of a 12-month waiting period. But yeah, it was just joined just after I turned 18.
That's pretty wild. So just that one, so you didn't have any inkling of that, of wanting to join the Navy beforehand, and it was just that one conversation that changed you that much? Yeah.
The whole way through high school I didn't think about it. It was just in primary school I wanted to do some kind of military, and then that conversation with that guy, because I was like, I don't know, I wanted to get paid as well, but I didn't want to be a student and be skint. Like, no offence to anyone as a student, but if you know what it's like, you try do uni and work part time and stuff.
Aye.
So I wanted to get an actual job, but I just wanted to do something a bit different, that I could travel and that, and do something out of the ordinary, and that just kind of seemed a bit ideal.
So that's mad. Have you ever thought about how pivotal that one conversation's been in? So you've been in the Navy for 4 years now?
Just over 4 years.
So that's that one conversation affected 4 years of your life?
Yeah, it's mad. If I didn't go to that career convention, I definitely would not have signed up, because I would have had no inclination or no intention to. Do you know what I mean? I had no reason to. You know, it's one of those things, you know it's always there, but unless someone's kind of thrown it in your face, you don't notice it.
Yeah, and did it click for you at that point? Because for you to make that decision to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to apply for this and join the Navy, there must have been something in you where it said, oh yeah, that actually aligns with my goals and my values and my personality.
Well, yeah, just when he was speaking about it, and he was like, obviously you do your training and stuff, and I liked the idea that there was fitness involved. Kind of outdoorsy things. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't just like, you know, kind of working in an office. I said that I want to travel, and he's like, oh yeah, obviously you're going to travel, like, when you're on ship and stuff. I was like, this is kind of ticking every box that I wanted to do. I just thought I'd have to go to uni for 4 years first, before I could get a job when I'm travelling. But then it was just kind of met me in the middle. So when I got home, and my mum and dad were like, alright, so what uni are you going to? I was like, fuck, I'm joining the Navy.
What was your mum and dad's reaction at that point?
My dad was like, good on you. Mum was like, you fucking what? You joining the Navy? I was like, well, Pauline, I'm joining the Navy. That's what I'm doing.
I can imagine your mum saying that to you as well, just being utterly awestruck. But you're pretty headstrong as an individual. Like, if you say you're going to do something, I believe that you'll do it.
Thank you, mate.
I mean, I think that's...
I like to think I tried. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, do you think that... I'm just trying to piece this together based on the fact that you made a split decision being like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. So you had your idea before, or you had an idea beforehand that you wanted to travel and that you liked the physical aspect of it as well as the mental challenge. And that was just one thing that ticked all of those boxes for you.
Literally, yeah. Just something that, it was good money. I was getting to incorporate like fitness into my lifestyle still, like with my work life without it being like a PT or something. Do you know what I mean? It's just everything that I was thinking that I was going to have to wait this gap to get a degree first to do. It was just working out for me. And I was like, why wait? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And see, now that you've went through those 4 years, is there anything that you would change about it? Would you do something different, or would you go through that experience with the Navy again?
I mean, I've had a good career so far, and it's been interesting. So I feel like sometimes there's one of the other fields of engineering I kind of would have liked to do. But again, it's swings and roundabouts, because I'm a weapons engineer, but there's also a marine engineer.
Yeah.
Which I can find sometimes the marine engineering side is a bit more hands-on, a bit more interesting. But when like they're on board at sea, they get worked like a fucking dog.
Really? They're just always
fixing
things?
Not even that, like they're always in watches. So they could be in like 6 on, 6 off watches for weeks, or they could be on 12 on, 12 off. Whereas I'm not in watches, I'm just always like there on standby. Do you know what I mean? I run my own day. This means I can get like woken up at any time, but they've got to stay put sometimes in it's called the ship's control centre. So they may have to watch keep there. They can't leave there for 6 hours. Then they go off for 6 hours to work, maybe back on for another 6 hours to sit in that control centre. Then I'll get to sleep for 6 hours.
So it's just fucking constant for them. We don't get a break.
Yeah. So to be honest, no, I don't think I would change it. I'm happy with the way that I've went.
Awesome, mate. I'm glad to hear it. Not many people can say that. I'm a strong believer that you shouldn't have any regrets, because such is life, c'est la vie, is what it is.
Yeah. It's just a whole different life, do you know what I mean? Like, people that you meet, even like the mentality, like, I'll find myself talking like completely different when I'm down there, like, not accent-wise, don't worry, I still keep the strong jock accent.
You've got a pure English accent. English Harry comes out when he's down south.
Hello, boys. Chaps.
How are we doing, fellas?
Just like, see, like, your language and like words that you use. There's like a whole different kind of Navy speak.
Tell me more.
There's things that I'll say that I wouldn't say up here.
Expand on that. Sorry? Like and the way that they speak, are they more formal? Are they more respectful? Are they more
not at all?
Self-affirmed?
They're all scumbags, mate.
Really?
No, they were just funny. Like, it's like, do you want to kind of like the way to explain it? You're like an overpaid student. Sometimes it's the only job I know that you can rock up fucking pissed at your head in the morning. And as long as you're not on duty and you can still do your job, they don't care. Do you know what I mean? Like, they always say, if you can't do your job pissed, you can't do it at all.
That's a saying from some of the Navy seniors.
Yes, that's a saying of the Royal Navy.
Mate, that's such a unique insight, because I picture the Navy and Army and I think super strict. They catch you drinking when you're not supposed to and they'll get you out. But is it more of like a kind of lads culture within that?
Yes, 100%. It's like a big boys club. I mean, I think the Army's more strict. Like, the Army's more strict with seniority. So you wouldn't find people with different ranks going for a night out together in the Army. They're very much rank basis. So we don't like to mingle with subordinates. Whereas in the Navy, like, everyone's kind of gets on, regardless of like rank or rate.
Awesome. I mean, I think that's probably the way to do it, where you don't think about it too much. But
100%.
I guess the Army and the structure that maybe demands more respect. So one of my questions was going to be, do you see direct combat at any point? Have you?
No, in fact, try and get what you can say. Do you know? Well, some Navy man's listening, I get my balls booted.
As
But not,
much
not,
as you're
not
allowed to
combat.
reveal.
You've had some kind of like stressful situations where there's kind of ships with different countries coming closer than they should do,
Mm.
and they're coming across as aggressive, and they're like sending like messages over to you and that, basically telling you to fuck off or something worse could escalate.
Mm. And
Things like that, or
what's the tension like on the boat at that point? What's that sensation?
it could be tense. Like you could be they'll pipe maybe like hands to action stations, and then you'll get put in defence watches. So defence watches is like a higher state of readiness where there's more people on the ship up at once. So it's basically to make sure at any time throughout the day or night there's going to be the same amount of people on the ship awake and doing their job when you're in defence watches.
Okay.
And that'll be if you're like close to like, a kind of hostile zone, or if they expect something's going wrong, or if you're like hunting for a submarine. When you need the ship's company to be at a more ready state.
Okay. So, what exactly is it that you're doing? What are they paying you to do? So obviously you're a weapons engineer, but what's the Navy, as much as you are allowed to reveal and is not confidential, what are you doing kicking about on the boats? Are you searching for things? Are you doing merchant stuff? What's the script?
Getting pissed and being handsome. No.
I mean, you could do that anywhere, to be fair.
It changes, mate. So you get to use like a 2 or 3 year draft, and your draft will change like shorter than that as well. So like when I first finished, obviously you go through your phase 2, and that's like your kind of specialisation training to be like whatever branch you went to. So for me, as engineer. After that, I was on the Queen Elizabeth, the aircraft carrier.
So you got to see jets take off and stuff?
Yeah, so that was part of the jet trials for the F-35s to make sure that they can go operational. So they started the trials in 2018, and then that was the first half. The second half was 2019. That's when I was on the QE. So during that, you've got like your own individual role, which for me that's when I was still learning weapon engineering. So I was just getting bounced about different sections of the weapon engineering department to learn. But the overall kind of shit was doing the main priority was doing like the F-35 trials and getting them to take off from different angles and get them to land different ways and do different things in the air.
Okay.
They are mad to see, like, when I first seen them taking off, you think it was going to fall over the side because it looks like it's going that slow.
Yeah.
And then it goes up the ramp and it keeps going. I was like, what the fuck's going on here? This doesn't seem right.
Mate, that's wild. Like I see that at Top Gun with the jets taking off the boats and that.
Yeah. And then they ones as well. Obviously, when you see Top Gun, they fly kind of at an angle and they land on the flight deck.
Yeah.
But these ones, they go vertical and they kind of lower down.
What? So they're like fucking helicopters. They can just lower down vertically.
Yeah. Basically, mate, they've got like thrusters in the bottom. They like move the air in a certain way and they can land vertical.
That's nuts. That's like something out of MW2 or something. That's a Harrier strike.
Yeah. But with that deployment, it was good because you're working over next to America. So I got a few stops in America and I got a stop in Canada as well.
I was going to ask, so across your 4 years and your multiple deployments, where have you got to see?
So my first one was Halifax in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to Mayport, Florida. I was in Virginia for a bit. Washington, D.C. And then the next one, I went to... That's quite a bigger one. That's another world tour. So I think the first stop was Alicante. Then I was in Athens. Then a place called Salamina. It's a little kind of Greek island. Then it was a big, long stint at sea. I think the next stop was Bangladesh. We were meant to go to Japan. So we went to Japan for like 4 days. But because of COVID, we couldn't get off the base. It was an American base, so it was just like a little America. It was shit. Yeah, gutted. You can see all the kind of Japanese like mountains and shit, but you couldn't get off.
Oh, that's dire.
Went to this place called Guam.
Yeah.
It's like if we're looking at a globe and you have to sail past Japan.
Yep.
when you're going like around the world, the next big place is America.
Mm-hmm.
But in between them, there's this little island called Guam.
Okay.
And that's like, it's kind of, have you seen Moana?
No, I've not.
Oh, what?
I know of it, mate. I'm not a cartoon guy. I just can't do it.
I fucking love cartoons because I have a simple mind.
Oh, yeah, right. You're very simple.
It's like that. It's kind of like, it kind of reminds me like Hawaii or something.
Okay.
So other people are dead friendly, dead small island. You can drive around the island and that.
Awesome.
Like on the way back then, try to think. At one point we were in Kenya, went on safari there, Gibraltar and Malta.
Fucking hell! So you have been to all the different continents as well. You've got North America. I don't know if you get South America in there. You get North America. You've got Africa. You've got Asia. You've got Europe. I mean, you've not been to Australia and New Zealand, have you?
No, I'm choking to go there.
But you've got.
I think it's really hard to go there in the Navy now. It used to be easy. I used to go there quite a lot. But now I think it's more difficult just the way that kind of ships programs are lining up and what kind of tasking they're doing.
But you got most of the continents in there. I've got 2 questions. First one, out of all those kind of places, where was your favourite and why? And two, what's the general reaction when a bunch of Navy guys jump into like a local bar in one of these places? So, question 1, favourite place and why. Second question, what's the general reaction and what's it like running about in your Navy costume?
Second one's a very good question. But I'll start with the first one, I think. I mean, I loved Florida because America's so like, it's like a different culture with the military there. They're so like, appreciative, and like when you're out at bars and they hear your accent, they know there's a ship in. They're like, "Hey man, you in the Navy?" And they'll give you like, they'll buy you a beer, give you like free beer tokens and that. Like, thank you for your service, brother. I'm like, you're welcome, bro. Anytime.
I love America.
And one guy comes in like that. You've got our back and we've got yours, brothers in arms. I was like, fuck yeah, man.
I fucking love Americans, honestly.
Another one was Kenya. Kenya was class. The people are so friendly, and we got to go on safari there.
What were the people like? Were they actually happy to see you?
Yeah, they loved it. Like, they just like talking to folk. I think they're dead interested in what you have to say. Like they ask loads of questions about what it's like back home. That's nice.
Really? So they're just utterly curious.
Yeah. Like everything's just a bit weird. Like I went to this bar and I asked for a Tuskers, was that kind of Kenyan beer. And the guy's like, yeah, no problem. Do you want lettuce? I was like, sorry?
What?
He's like, do you want lettuce? I was like, all due respect, mate, what the fuck do I want lettuce for? And he was like, oh, to feed the tortoise. I was like, what? What tortoise? And he gave me this big fucking sheet of lettuce and pointed me over to the side of the bar. And I was like, I kind of dip in the ground.
Yeah.
And there's about 4 or 5 fucking massive tortoises just cutting about. I was like, yes, I do want to feed the tortoise.
I can imagine you absolutely loving that, patting them as if they're dogs.
I was buzzing, mate. In my element, sitting down next to them.
Mate, that's fucking class. Is that like the biggest cultural difference that you saw? Is there anything else that you noticed when you were out and about?
Cultural wise, I mean, one of the kind of not so great places in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
It's just poverty, like everywhere. Like,
yeah, brutal.
I see a guy just walking about the street naked. I was like, what the fuck? Like, loads of them had like ginger hair, which I don't get. I don't know if it's some kind of pigment they have.
I think I think the ginger hair thing is a religious thing. I can't remember I can't remember what religion it is, but they have. I was in Nepal for 2 months earlier in the year, and there's a few blokes that would kick about in either robes or like near enough naked, and they would have the ginger hair, and I think it's
mad. Like, where are they getting hair dye from?
It's not hair dye. It's like they use it for like all their spiritual stuff. I can't remember. I think it might be Buddhism or it might be Hinduism. It's one of the two. But they have these people that are like basically they're basically like religious street beggars. So they go around and they like collect money from people, and they have the ginger hair. And in India and Nepal, they have this thing called Holi Festival, where they basically just have all these different dyes of all the different colours, and they just have a day where they just fucking launch different colours at people. But I think those.
Have you been to that?
Yeah, mate, I done that when I was in Nepal. It was fucking wild, mate. It was so good.
That sounds crazy.
Yeah, it was bananas, mate. We got out in the morning. There's like lots of kids running around with like water balloons filled with like this dust of like blue and red and orange, and you're running around. Everyone's got like water guns, and there's wee kids coming up and throwing stuff at you, and you're chasing people. You come into this massive square, and there's like tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people just in like this big fuck off square. Just expands for like streets and like blocks of people just having a party. There's like a stage, people are just launching shit everywhere. I've got videos, mate, I need to send you it, but
yeah, send it over. See, this is why when I leave the Navy, I want to take like 3-4 months to go travelling before I get another job, but not like, I don't want to work and travel.
Yeah,
I've just been saving money because I want to just go fuck about, mince about, do you know what I mean? Just do what I want, because even though you get to go places with the Navy, it's not quite the same, because it's always kind of, you're managed, do you know what I mean? Your time's managed, so if you're in for 4 days, one of the days you might be duty, so the day before duty you have to watch what you're doing, and then the day before you're sailing you have to watch what you're doing. I want to just be able to go out on my own terms and do whatever I want to do.
Mate, you'll fucking love it as well, and you might even end up for more than 4 months. I know, especially with the amount you've, like, the Navy's well paid, I'm pretty sure. An amount you've been able to save and stuff because you're on the ship and you're getting meals paid for and stuff. Like, travelling's really not that expensive. I done an 8-month stint there, and I probably averaged about 1.1 grand a month, and that was living well, mate. Like, I was eating out 3 meals a day. I was staying in private rooms. I was being fucking loose with money, mate. Like, I wasn't skimping on shit. So it's like, it's super cheap, mate. If you think about how much you would maybe, if say for example you had an apartment in Glasgow, that's going to set you back 400-500, and then you've got council tax maybe 150, food another 300. You've got your car maybe another 300. So like, travelling for a month,
and that's before you're actually doing anything you want to do. Yeah,
exactly. If you add up all your expenses in Glasgow per month, you're probably talking about 1,500-1,600 with all your activities, maybe even more. Put into one if you're like living in your own apartment and stuff, and then you compare that to travelling for a month, and it's actually less. I don't know why more people don't do it, mate, but I'm glad to hear that you're going to, and Defos, give me a shout when, mate, because I'll fuck off and join you, mate. I've got no problems with that.
Would love that, mate. I would love that.
Mate, I want to hear more about the system or the weapons engineer. So, are you fixing like M14s, like hand weapons? Are you fixing big turrets? Are you fixing missile things?
This is where it gets a bit kind of foggy. So, when I joined as a weapon engineer, there's like 3 specialisations within the overall branch you can go to. So one's weapons, one's sensors, and one's comms.
Okay.
So when I got promoted, I went on that course. I got streamed the comms kind of specialist.
Okay.
So on my draft when I left my course and went to go on ship as a leading hand, my first draft was on HMS Kent, so that's a frigate. And on that, I was the internal comms section head.
Stop. What's a frigate?
A frigate is like a ship that it's kind of specialist thing. It's like a towed sonar, so it's for finding like submarines mostly.
Okay, so finding enemy submarines of enormous nature.
But frigates are like older as well. So the kind of newer ones are like frigates, then you get, after frigates, it's destroyers. But now there's like a whole new array of ships coming out. So it's all changing. But frigates are kind of backbone in the Navy now. Okay,
so you're on a frigate. Tell me more. You've been promoted at this point. They're going to put you on comms.
Yes.
You're on a frigate. What happens now?
So I was the internal comms section head. So your main job there is you've got like 2 people working in your section below you. and you'll have all the kind of internal communication systems on the ship. And it's good because you just kind of get left alone to it. Like, they go, this is your kit, so do you know what I mean? Like, take it in your own hands. You plan the maintenance. Anything that's wrong with it is yours to sort out. Like, no one's gonna like micromanage you.
Okay.
But because you're a weapon engineer, you have to have an overall knowledge of the department as well, like on everything that's weapons. So there's like 14 magazines on board. So you'd have like all your magazine knowledge of how the magazine sprays work, what ammunition's going to be in the magazines, and what to do in like different instances if something was to go wrong, like there was a fire in a magazine, or if one of the rounds were to go off and it might be like a round like phosphorus in it, what the kind of emergency operating procedure is for that.
By magazine, sorry, there's so much to unpack here as well. By magazine, you mean magazines for larger weapons? We're talking like artillery guns and missiles,
so I know obviously you get a magazine on a weapon, like a rifle, but this is like a magazine that's a whole compartment, and it'll be filled with either small rounds or filled with missiles, like your missile silo.
Okay.
Or it could be filled with different kind of things, like you get anti kind of weapons, like a missile you send out that, say if someone shot like a heat-seeking missile at you, you'd let off this round that gives off a high kind of phosphorus. It makes a larger heat signature.
Okay.
So that'll take away the diversion from the ship.
So you probably have a really extensive knowledge of different weapons, specifically relating to maritime warfare, right?
I hope
as
so.
Much as you should.
I mean, I'm getting there. Yeah, I should probably know more, but I'm getting there.
Okay, so you got somewhat of a knowledge, and then you're specialising in comms. So that's radio. What other types of comms do you have?
Well, mine's internal comms, so that came under like all the kind of, there's a thing called RICE. It's like rationalised integrated communications equipment, and that's like, it's a way of having like point-to-point contacts throughout the ship, and then they're having like group lines. So your group lines are like group chats and stuff. Basically, that if you plug yourself into this group, anyone around the ship that's also in that group, you can talk to no matter like where they are.
What is it, like a walkie-talkie kind of system? You're going on the same frequency?
No, it's like a kind of unit that you plug a headset into. So the unit will stay at that station. So like in the option, each station will have their own, and then they'll have like the bridge and stuff.
So it's like an aux cord you're plugging into it. You bang a pair of headphones in.
Kind of, yeah. That's what it's like. It's a station that you plug into and you choose where you want to go to.
Okay, and your responsibility is to make sure all of this shit's tip top.
Yeah, which is also shit because frigates are that old. I mean, they're like 30, 40-year-old. That there's that much things that go wrong with them, and sometimes you're like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Do you know what I mean? There could be an earth somewhere that's shorting out, but they just say, "Oh, it's somewhere on this half of the ship." I mean, I'm fucking perfect. That narrows it down. Cheers.
And do you love that, the problem solving aspect, or is that something you kind of start to?
I love the problem solving. I love the problem solving when there's like some kind of mathematical way or engineering way to figure it out. But see, when it's just you got to try loads of different things until you find the one, that pisses me off. Yeah,
like a plug and play, just fucking diminishing the possible results slowly over time.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the life on a frigate. I mean, it's a good lifestyle.
Yeah,
people were all sound. It's just my patience was kind of wearing away with internal comms. So I've ended up changing drafts now to something new.
Okay, so what are you doing now?
So now it's like a brand new thing that they used to have minesweepers. Like they still do have them, but they're getting decommissioned. So going out to like the Gulf and finding mines. But now they've got this new thing that it's like an 11-foot boat that it can take people on it, like 2 or 3 people that can drive it in manual, or you'll have a remote control centre and you can drive it in remote. So someone that's in that centre, that might be like on a kind of base station, they can drive the whole boat, or you can like pre-plan a mission into it and make it go autonomous. So like no one's on it, it just does its own thing. And this is like the kind of new like forefront in the Navy basically. So when I'm deploying in January with it, and that's like the first time it's going operational.
So you'll be, are you heading up the department or just working with the people on that? So
yeah, it's just weird. So there's only like 16 of us maybe, and And because it's such a small team, they haven't split it into weapon engineers and marine engineers. They just said, use are the engineering team.
Okay.
So we've all got trained in everything. So I've been trained in like engine maintenance, like water jet maintenance. There's obviously electrics I already knew, and like hydraulics and stuff. So it's a lot more interesting because I'm not doing any kind of comms anymore. There's a few little bits and pieces that are external comms, but most of it's like mechanical.
Yeah.
Which I'm enjoying a lot more.
Mate, that's interesting. The fuck is especially because it's a new piece of equipment and it's
it's brand
new. My question is, who is Britain still in active warfare with that they need to search for mines? Like, why is that still a thing?
So they'll have like, I'm not going to say who, but they'll have like countries in the Middle East that they might put out mines because they don't want people transiting through their waters.
Okay.
Or you might have like people who are wanting to attack cargo ships that will put mines in the water, because then when the cargo ships go over it, that'll be a chance to attack a cargo ship.
Got you. Okay.
So, I mean, it's not acts of warfare, it's more of a personal gain.
Yeah, okay. So is it even countries
then, like,
that you're
especially
worried
now
about?
with Russia and Ukraine. No, not to be worried about.
Okay. And it's not specifically countries, it
fucking...
might be more individuals or organisations.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few countries that will still do it, just because they're dicks, pretty much. I don't know why. You gotta shout, you're a dick. I don't know why they do that.
You're an absolute cunt, come on. Do you still get that? Like,
and then now there's a whole new kind of mine warfare thing coming up because of Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah.
Because there was definitely mines getting dropped with them.
Okay, and between different waters and stuff, they'll just drop mines at the forefront of their country, kind of. I mean, that's mostly land warfare, right? Russia and Ukraine.
No. There's been Russian ships blown up.
Really? Okay, I never knew that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the ships that we worked with last year got blown up.
Fucking hell, seriously?
Yeah, it's mad.
That's pretty wild. And it had, so one of the ships that you were working on, like one of the UK ships.
Not working on, we were working like, I'm saying working, it was a kind of tense situation where we were like, for about 3 days, we were both kind of parked, and it was like that close to each other, like I probably could have thrown a rock onto their ship.
Jesus.
And then that same ship got blown up this year, it was in the news.
That's wild stuff, mate. People that you were maybe 20 feet away from, they've ended up dying in actual warfare.
Yeah, it's wild.
My thing is, right, so for you, anyone that goes into the Navy or the Army must be somewhat prepared to be actively deployed at some point. Is that something that they've made explicitly clear to you? And would you be ready, say the UK went to war with someone, would you be ready to be part of the Navy and go and do that?
Yeah, mate, because at the end of the day, even though it's not necessarily what you want to do, that's kind of what you signed up for. So you can't just sign up for the good parts and be like, oh yeah, I want to go get pissed and go travelling and that. And then when shit hits the fan, kind of back away and go, actually, no, this is getting a bit too serious now. So you got to have in your head that that's what you're signing up for, and that's like potentially what could happen. Yeah.
What's the dialogue from the Navy about that? How did they speak to you about that? Because obviously we're in no massive active wars just now.
Yeah, they say, like, you know, we are like a war fighting Navy, do you know what I mean? Like, we're always prepared to do things like that. Just doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have to. But as long as you know, like they always say, like, even though they tell you things, like the program, like the operational program comes first. So when I got back from that deployment last year, that was 8 months I was away for. And they got back in December, and they went, right, we're not going to sea now till June. So you have like 6 months alongside, you'll be with your families. Went on leave for a few weeks, came back in January, and I was on a course. I came back, and my pal standing on the flight deck, and he shouts over. He was like, Harry, we're going to sea on Monday. I was like, fuck off. I was like, no, we're not. He's like, yep, yes, we are. I was like, oh, shit.
So you've been told you had 6 months off, you get a few weeks to do a course, and then you get back there and your mate's like, aye, we're actually back on.
Yeah, so this is when it all kicked off with Russia and Ukraine, so we were doing stuff to do with that.
Anything you can reveal?
Because of the nature of it, they didn't know how long we're going to be out for. So the captain was saying to us, like, we're going out, we don't know how long for. that's all I can give you. So I had to phone, obviously, my girlfriend and say, hello, I'm going to see you on Monday. And she was like, what the fuck? She's like, how long for? I was like, I don't know. But I'll see you when I'm back.
That's wild, mate. Is that anything you can reveal about the activities that you were doing, or is that one of those ones that is really confidential?
It's basically just shadowing frigates that are coming like close to the British border.
Okay.
It's basically just shadowing them, because if you just you're not allowed to just let them transit next to it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can pass through. So you've got to be like a shadow alongside them to kind of show a presence.
Okay, yeah.
I think we've done that.
Protect your wars, basically.
Yeah.
That's wild stuff, mate. Do you... Obviously, if you're going to be part of active duty, everyone gets their training. What are the kind of values that they instill in you in training?
It's all very good, mate. I mean, it gives you it brings a lot of people out of their shell that wouldn't necessarily do that, I think, in other jobs. Because from the get go, you're thrown into 10 weeks in this mad fucking base where you want about 30, 60 guys.
Tell us all about the kind of beginning, the training when you initially come in. What's that all like?
Well, it's a bit shit. Pure baldy nuggets running about. I mean, it's very, very daunting because I'm quite an outgoing person, but I mind when I first got there on the Sunday, for those first 3 days, I was planning my escape route. I was so I had mine split in half because of Christmas. I was doing 5 weeks, 2 weeks off for Christmas, then back for 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking in my head, I was like, right, I'll just last these 5 weeks. I'll go home for Christmas leave. Then I won't come back. I'm going to get an apprenticeship in my pal's company, and it's all going to be sweet because this is fucking awful. I don't want to be here.
What was so bad about it? What was so bad about it?
So daunting, mate. Do you know what I mean? You're going halfway across. Oh, not even half. You're going the opposite side of Britain. There's all these people that you don't know, and everyone's a bit shy at the start. There's people walking about with fucking rifles and that, and you get there and you're like, I don't want to do this. I could be tucked up in my room doing nice things, watching my telly and fucking having a nice hot water bottle.
And what are the conditions that are so bad? Are you shaved? You got a shaved head at this point?
Yeah, everyone's shaved and fucking rosy face. Cause I joined in November, so it's fucking freezing.
Right, and what are you doing? What's the physical aspect of it? What are you sleeping in? Give me a fucking explicit
you've got a big massive room, basically, a big massive room with 30 beds in it, and each bed has a locker next to it. So when you walk in, at the end of your bed, you've got a little kind of plastic box, and that's got your uniform in it and your bedding. They lay down the rules. You have a brief for the Joss, who's the kind of charge security and stuff, and they'll be drilling all this shit into you, don't do this, don't do that, don't get caught on your phone, you're not on your phones. You're standing oh no. And then you go up, you got to make your bed, and they tell you the standards, every morning when you get up at 5:30, your bed will be made pristine. They show you how to make your bed properly. So there's just all this stuff that you're not used to. So I thought I was young at 18, but there's some people that joined when they're 16.
Yeah, that must have been fucking scary, especially as you're describing those first few days. You're bald, you're in a fucking... I hate bunk beds as well, mate. I hate fucking sleeping in the same room.
No, there's no bunk beds, it's single beds.
Single beds, but what I mean is that you're in a room with fucking 29 other cunts. 29...
Yeah, scared to snore because you don't know anyone. So you're I don't want to be known as a snorer guy the first night.
Oh, fucking hell. And then what's the physical aspect of the training like? Is it hard?
You're at your fittest when you're in basic training.
Really?
To be fair.
Okay.
Yeah, so you do your fitness tests and that, and then you have 2 or 3 times a week of fitness training, and it's called IMF, which is initial military fitness, and it's all controlled. It's kind of like a choreograph. Do you know what I mean? You got to do everything on time to the beat, and to when they say up down all that stuff.
Yeah.
You do rope climbs and all that, and you do all the kind of assault courses running through ditches.
Okay.
But this is the downfall of the Navy, that once you finish basic training, there's no mandatory fitness.
So you can just become a fat
cunt
if you want.
Yeah, literally, mate. Right now, all I have to do is pass my fitness test once a year. I can go year to year without doing any fitness at all, as long as I pass that fitness test once a year. Or if you get an excellent pass every 2 years, you don't have to do anything in the meantime. So most people do, because you like to think most people in the military have a bit of pride in their fitness. But there's a load of folk who just sit, get pissed, eat shite.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I get mad. I mean, anyone should do some kind of mandatory.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, like, my idea or my conception of the Navy and the Army and stuff is very much, what was that Ant Middleton TV show that was on where he'd get...
Oh, yes.
Yeah, where he'd get that and they would just break people physically. Did they ever do that where they just fucking push you until you break?
I mean, you'll have some things where you think that's what's happening. Like, I think on a stretcher run, where you're in teams of like 6, you can have 4s on the stretcher at once. You're running about doing different like army crawls, and like you've got a dummy in a stretcher, you're running up and down hills and that, and you think that's you. You think that's you at that kind of point. But when you compare it to like that stuff on TV, like the SAS and that, that's not the same at all. Do you know what I mean?
It's just not as bad.
It's all kind of relative. You just think it's hard at that time, but then when you look at the ones that are doing all that, it's nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. That's what I thought it would be like.
It's all relative to whatever you're doing. Do you know what I mean?
See the types of cunts you were describing, how a lot of cunts do take pride in their fitness and stay healthy, but a lot of cunts do just eat shite and drink pints. What's the general characteristics of people in the Navy? Like, is it full of good cunts that you would trust? Is it full of shit cunts? Like, what's the split there?
It's to be honest, mate, it's like any kind of job. It's half and half. Do you know what I mean? There's some people that you look at and you're like, you shouldn't be on board because you're not safe to be on board.
As in, they're just there to have access to weapons and they're a fucking danger to society.
Well, I mean, not everyone gets access to weapons anyway. But when you're at sea, you've got the whole kind of firefighting aspect as well, where everyone's trained their role to be like firefighting, because if there's a fire on board, it's the ship's company that deals with it. So it's people, even like common sense wise, you're looking at it, you're like, if there's an emergency, you're not going to have a Scooby what you're doing.
Aye, there's some dumb cunts on board.
And there's some people that are just arseholes and all, but that's just the same as any job. I mean, you could join an office and you can get that split, but there's some people that are actually top notch that you love to bits.
It's true.
Get on with them great, and then the other half,
you do get those people in every profession, but the difference is the Navy and the Army, these people are trusted to protect the entire country. These people are trusted with multi-billion-dollar weapons and stuff. Further on this as well, do you meet people? So obviously you're quite a high achiever in your role. I know that obviously you got promoted very early on. I know that you take it seriously as well.
Thank you.
Do you meet other people on board that they're like, oh, I want to do really, really fucking well at this. I have maybe a family history in the military. I plan to be at this role at this time, and they're like hyper intelligent and super fit. Do those kind of people exist? Do you meet them?
Yeah. I mean, that's another kind of split there is with the Navy. There's the folk that are very like career driven, that want to get promoted and stuff and want to spend their life in the Navy. Like my pal Bertie, he's happily said that he'll be a lifer, he'll spend his life in the Navy. There's people who are just biding their time. They'll join after a year, they'll realise, I don't like this, and I've got 3 years left before I can leave. So they're just biding their time until it's time for them to leave. And then you've got the ones in the middle that, like myself, that I know I'm not doing it for life, so I reckon I'm going to do 6 years. And I'm just kind of enjoying it while I'm there, but I'm not looking ahead to get promoted and stuff because I don't want to stay in.
And you've done 6 years so far?
Yeah, so 2 years left for me, mate.
So what's the plans? Let's bounce out from the Navy talk, because I feel as if I've got quite a good idea. What's the plans after? You want to do some travelling And what?
Good question. Do you know what? I don't even know. I'm not even fully set on staying engineering. Like I would like to, but I just like the idea of being a civvy where nothing's like capped.
Say that again.
Do you know what I mean? Like nothing's capped. Like money you can make isn't capped.
Okay.
Like where you want to go and what roles you want to go in isn't capped. You can literally do whatever you want. Whereas in the Navy, like you could get like promoted, but usually unless you go a high ranking officer, the most you're going to make is maybe like 50 grand, 55.
See, that's
and I just like the idea.
Sorry to interrupt you. That what you're describing of like an uncapped potential for both role fulfillment, what you're doing, and money wise. I think that's the essence of why I want to be an entrepreneur and why most people want to become entrepreneurs is because you have agency over your own life and your own destiny, and you get to choose. It's like the thing that's great about it is like an utter responsibility. The only thing holding you back from more money and a better role is more effort from yourself. So could you ever see yourself in an entrepreneurial role?
Yeah, do you know what? I would like to see myself in a kind of businessy world. You know, like I mean, I've not got any degree in business. I'm going to do a few kind of project management stuff before I leave the Navy. But even just knowing the fact that I could, do you know what I mean? Like when I've left the Navy, if I would do what I go down that route, I can.
Yeah.
That's what I like. I like the kind of freedom of not being in the Navy.
Got you. Yeah.
Knowing that I have complete control. If I don't want to do something, I don't have to do it. Whereas now, if they're like, fly out to this place tomorrow, I can't really do much about it.
Okay, so it's the
the
restriction they're holding on you from doing other things, and that limit that you can never really surpass is what's holding you back, because you want to have more opportunity for yourself, right?
Yeah. So I mean, this is what gets some people in the Navy down. I think that at the end of the day, the Navy have you by the balls.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
and
they can decide everything, and some people get beat up about it, but you just gotta go with the flow. Just kind of accept, I'm doing something different. Just kind of go with it.
And that's the same.
Because if you get beat up about it, it's not going to change anything.
Yeah, it's the same with most jobs. To be honest, though, it's like there is a limit to most professions where you're working under someone. There's a limit. I mean, you can get experience and then transfer that to something else of your own, and that's true of the Navy as well. Is actually, so my boss, I'm doing a bit of landscaping at the moment. Just so I can fucking funnel money into this cold brew coffee business and podcast. Like, that's purely it. It's a means to an end. But I was talking to him today, and we were just talking about how he's had people from the army and stuff in the past come on and work for him, and saying that these people are actually really good as entrepreneurs, really good as hard workers, because they have those principles instilled in them. With yourself, would you say that they've made a difference to your integrity or your principles or your character? Or is that
the Navy?
Yeah, the Navy.
Yeah, it has. It makes you more of a confident person because you're constantly put in situations that you wouldn't normally find yourself in. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll understand as well if you're travelling. Like, see, like if you join a ship and you get put in this pure tight space and they say, you're living here now with all these people that you've never met and you're working with them and you'll eat with them and stuff, and you just got to quickly try and make friends.
Yeah.
And just get on with folk. And you'll know what that's like when you're travelling and you go out and you go to a country and you went by yourself, you don't know anyone, but you got to kind of meet folk.
Yeah. Yeah,
it does build your character.
Probably remarkably easier for me, considering when you're travelling, you're in like social situations. I am handsome as fuck as well, to be fair, but I just got a cramp in my leg. I just tensed it and just got fucking crap on it.
That was a powerful squeal.
Yeah, it was, mate. That was a man squeal right there. Remarkably easier, but Yeah, mate, traveling's fucking great for meeting people. It's great for putting yourself in different social situations and developing that. It's even like it's a weird, in a weird way, it's a sense of sales. It's selling yourself to other people and understanding what they're looking for and what you're looking for as well. And you have a better understanding of what's right for you as well. So I feel as if as I've got older, I have a really firm, or not quite firm, but near enough good grasp on what I enjoy and what I don't enjoy. So for example, when I went travelling, a lot of people would go out clubbing and they would go see certain temples and they'd go do certain things. And at the start I was like, oh yeah, like I'll go out and do these things. And I went and tried them. And then after maybe a few months, I was like, I don't actually enjoy those activities. I was just doing them because other people were doing them. So it was only through living that experience where I understood, oh, okay, like I actually know what I really like and more importantly, why I really like it. And that's now influenced other parts of my life as well, where I understand why I like certain things and why I do certain things as well, which I think a lot of people struggle with, is that they are just on autopilot or they do things because other people do it.
That's very true.
So yeah, I mean, that's something I found. I went sober for the year in 2020 as well. And that, like, just done the entire year. I decided at the end of 2019, start of 2020, I was going to do it. Luckily, 3 months in, COVID hit, which made it remarkably easier because no one was doing anything anyways. But that really taught me a lot about what sort of occasions I enjoy just because I'm getting drunk and what sort of occasions I enjoyed because they were actually good occasions and I liked the people and I liked the conversation.
I mean, a lot of people ruin their occasions when they get too pissed. Because they'll peak too early, they'll start blacking out and not remembering things. And you're like, you haven't even remembered like half that night.
I think we can majorly say as well, being from Scotland first of all, and somewhere kind of somewhere close, like a closed group like East Kilbride is, where when you go to gaffs and stuff, like it is, I don't know what it's still like there, but I remember there being way too much drama and people just getting fucked. Like the Scottish drinking and drug culture is just go sit in a room, put some tunes on, talk and get as fucked up as possible. Like it's not centered around playing beer pong or going out somewhere and having fun or going out and listening to some good music or someone's birthday. It's just, can we sit in a room and get as fucked up as possible and people will possibly fight?
It's like a race. It's like a race, so you'll get the most fucked quickest.
It's weird, mate. It's a weird fucking culture. That's one thing that I actually think, even though Americans and that can't handle it, they centre their drinking around different things. Like I know a few Americans over here and I met a bunch when I was travelling. They were always like, oh, like let's go and play beer pong, or let's go out and see this sunset bar at night, or let's go out and do this occasion. It was, the drinking was centered around an actual activity, whereas in the UK or Scotland, drinking is the activity. There's no activity to centre around. It is the activity solely. Yeah,
they're like, let's go out for a beer. Yeah. And the occasion for going out is the beer.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The occasion is the alcohol. It's a weird one. I don't know how we got on this tangent, but here we are, mate. I've not really got a segue to this next one, but I wrote a few notes down before we had this. I was on the train this morning to work, and I was trying to think about things to ask you, and I want to get a little bit philosophical and a little bit deeper, because I think it's important that as I get more guests on, we start to understand that the guests are human. So one thing I've been doing recently is I've been listening to podcasts of all sorts, trying to understand what makes a podcast good. And a lot of them will get on these really high profile guests. It could be fucking Selena Gomez, it could be Rich Roll, it could be anyone, but because they're just speaking about all these successes and their story of success, you forget that at some point they had doubts or they had anxiety or they still do, or they're worried about this thing or they were sad at this point. So I want to bring more of that to it so we understand people as actual human beings. So one question I want to ask you right now, what is your biggest pain point in life right now? What are you most worried about for the future?
What am I most like? Do you know what? I'm actually most worried about that I've got all these like in my head, like these ambitions and stuff for when I leave and how things are going to be. Like I want to try get the property and all this, get up to a good job, and I'm just kind of worried in case it all goes to shit. And I've built up this picture in my head of how good it's going to be, and I don't kind of meet the standard of what I had for myself.
So not meeting your own expectations of what you want your life to be.
Yeah, like see if I've been talking about how I want to be a civvy because money's not capped, like your aspirations aren't capped, do what you want, and then 10 years from now, I'm fucking nothing special, do you know what I mean? I'm just an average Joe.
Yeah.
That kind of scares me a bit. That's not what I want for myself.
I get that as well,
and it's worried about, it's like worried about, I know where I want to be, it's just I don't know how to get there necessarily.
So it's the steps, it's the actions to take to get to that position.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I understand that to probably a degree more than most people, because in my mind that like my idea of myself in the future is a very successful self, and that's probably the same for you, right?
Yeah.
And I try to think about it as well, and I contemplate the exact thing that you've just voiced there quite a lot. And I think for me, it's a case of I actually can't think about it too much. I just have to start doing things that move me in that direction. So if you want to be like
what things to do.
Yeah, so for example, like see this podcast and the cold brew business. I want the cold brew business to be worth hundreds of millions, and I want to sell it at some point. I want this podcast to be one of the biggest in the world, right? And I couldn't tell you how to do either of them right now. So what I did was I just bought podcasting equipment, started it. The first 2 episodes of this podcast are me just talking, absolutely waffling into a mic, talking shit. They literally are. The first 2 episodes are me just fucking waffling shit into a mic. And I'm like, yep, I can upload that to Spotify. So I think for me, it's just like stick the blinders on, just get started. Oh, I heard a quote from someone the other day, and it was really good. This was the quote: "Traction brings motivation." So I think most people wait for themselves to be motivated before they start making those steps in that direction. But apparently, a better way of looking at it is just to get started. And that traction of like seeing those little mini results and those steps in the right direction, that actually in itself brings about the motivation. And I think that's the only way.
That is a great way of looking at it, because even like, you'll know when you're in uni and you're doing like a dissertation or something, like the worst part of a big project is starting it. Yeah. Once you started it, the ball's rolling, it's fine. It's just actually doing the start. You've always got the plan of how you're going to do it, but it's just getting like pen on paper.
Yeah, that's it, mate. And that point you're making about not fulfilling your future self, I think the only way you'll ever be able to level yourself, and me the same, as if both of us fucking try hard as shit. Because if you get 10 years down the line, right, and you are nothing that you wanted to be, but you fucking tried hard, and you know that you tried hard, then you've really, like, I think you'll get to that point and you'll be like, oh, okay, like, my self-esteem's good. I feel good about myself because I know that I put a fucking shift in. I tried.
You know you tried, and you can't be disappointed in yourself because you've done everything you could.
Exactly. And people get frozen about it. They're like, people don't even try in the first place because they have the same idea that you just spoke about there, where it's like, it's too daunting to be that future version of yourself because it's so unimaginable. But the only way you'll get there is just trying. And like, that's the only way you'll ever be happy either way. And I remember I was, what podcast? Like, I've been spamming podcasts recently, so I've been coming up with, there's a lot of good knowledge swimming about in my brain, just not easily accessible. I can't remember who it was, but there was a guy on a podcast recently, and he says that no one he's seen that's really fucking tried hard to be their best self or try to achieve their ambitious goal has ever failed in his eyes. No one that's ever just like set that goal for themselves and really tried has ever failed. So
that's a good kind of way to look at things.
It just speaks
for
me. Like,
warming way. I mean,
what is the way of stopping either of us from being who we want to be? Right, it's just a step of actions that may eventually lead to success in that department, right?
Yeah.
It's not impossible. Sometimes I think about it and I'm like, all these celebrities and super successful people, it's all like a game. Like they're not even real, but they are. Like a lot of them are just normal people that decided one day, nah, this isn't good enough, I'm going to do something different, I'm going to try harder, and they ended up there. Like they are actually normal people, and it's not just because we are in our lives now, it seems as if it's unescapable or impossible to get there, but it's not. I think that's something we need to. I struggle with this so much.
Don't they?
Exactly, and I struggle with this so much as well. That kind of self-belief aspect. But it's something I'm working on as well, mate. So I get it.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, it sucks, mate, but it's that kind of fear of not being a success, I think, is maybe what pushes us both. Because I can probably say...
Yeah, it does.
I can speak for both of us here, and I want you to add on to this as well. But for me, that anxiety around not being that person or not being the best version of myself, that's what pushes me to do more things. That pushes me to get up in the morning, go to work, get home, go to the gym, start this podcast, do other things. Yeah. That anxiety about not doing that's what pushes me.
It does drive you because you're that scared of not achieving or scared of not hitting your potential that you're pushing yourself more to do it.
Yeah. That's it.
Which is, I mean, it's not, people can look at that as being like a bad trait, but I don't think that's bad. I mean, people can be like, oh, you shouldn't be scared of not achieving, you shouldn't be scared of not doing this, but in a sense, you should. I mean, if you do what you do well, then you should have that kind of fear of not doing well, because that's what's going to give you the motivation, the drive to do what you have to do.
Exactly. That's it. And I think see people don't want to achieve anything with their life. Fair enough. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, I don't want to be fucking not associated, but I'm not gonna spend loads and loads of my time with people that don't want to be anything. Like, I want to surround myself with people that inspire me to be better. And it might not just be business success, but I might have friends that are really good in their relationships and they're amazing husband, or they're an amazing father, or they're an amazing daughter, or there might be other people that are amazing at different things. It doesn't all need to relate to money, but people that inspire you to be better. I think you need to surround yourself with them.
Yeah. It's only going to do you good.
Have you found yourself, as you got older, cutting out dead weight in terms of people?
Yeah. I mean, like, even like simpler things, like when you're younger and you go about in like a bigger crowd and there's people like that are out looking for trouble. I mean, like, that's quite a big thing, I think, in Scotland, that when you're younger, you think you're like the hardest cunt on earth, top of the world, that you can take on anyone. And people go out looking for bother, looking for trouble to up their status as a hard man.
Yeah.
And even that, just like growing up and realising that, like, why do you even want to fight anyone? What good comes from fighting anyone?
Fuck all.
Things like that, like cutting that kind of people in your life that are looking for trouble all the time.
So it's people like that, I mean, there still is a lot of people like that where we're from, where that's full time what they do. It's like a boyish egocentric.
Full time hard man.
Yeah, it's like a pure egocentric pursuit to try say that they're hard, but I mean, I guess it can come from a whole different set of factors of why they're like that. But yeah, I think it's important, mate. One thing I've been thinking about recently is, so you're someone that inspires me in a bunch of different ways, mate. I really respect and value that you went to the Navy. I was explaining to my boss today, I was explaining who I was podcasting with tonight, and I was describing you to him, and I was like, he's one of those people that just makes everyone feel comfortable no matter what situation you're in. And I could see you after 10 years, and then I'd walk around the corner, it'd be as if I'd seen you yesterday. It would just be like a normal conversation. I always look forward
you're the exact same as that.
We're that to each other, mate. I think you make people feel special.
That's very nice, mate. Thank you.
No worries, mate. This is the part of the podcast where I just compliment my guests, apparently.
Oh no, it's gonna make me cry.
I don't know where I was leading with that, to be honest, mate. Okay.
If you want to take me on a date, mate, if that's what you're buttering me up for, we can go on a date anytime.
We can do that if you want, mate. Well, actually, I know where I was going with that. So one thing I've been thinking about recently, I've been listening to all these different podcasts, and one thing they keep bringing up is that they all recommend seeking out some sort of mentor and reaching out to them and being like, this is what I want to do. For example, you said you want to be a civvy. Is that civil engineer?
No, a civvy is in, like, not in the military anymore.
Oh, a civilian.
A civilian, aye.
Okay.
I'm very vague. I just said I want to be a civvy.
Okay.
Any career not in the military.
Sorry, mate, I'm not getting the military lingo down. Right. Say, for example, you want to become an entrepreneur. What would be one area that you could be an entrepreneur in? What is one area that you could see yourself in?
Well, I don't know if I can necessarily see myself in this. I don't think I'd have the knack for it, but I'd like to be able to do this. Because I've seen folk that have done it, and it's just made up millions, basically. Like, see, if you can come up with a flaw in the Navy, you can come up with a flaw, and when you leave, you can design something that gets rid of this flaw. A bit of kit or some kind of hardware or software, something that basically you sell back to the Navy. That, I see people do that, and they are fucking, like, sorted for life. Because if you've worked in the environment and you know where it's going wrong, and you can explain that to the Navy, like, this is how it's going wrong, this is how I propose to amend that and fix it, and you can sell them this, you're done, mate. Do you know what I mean? That's all you have to do. You've got a contract with them for life, you sell them it, you build up the company, and you can just kind of keep mass producing it to how many other different ships.
So there we are.
That would be the dream.
Okay, so you leave the Navy, you think of that. And one route towards that could be, and a really good route for that would be maybe someone that's done something similar to that before, someone that was maybe in the Navy but also worked in, like, an engineering business background, has their own business. If you found someone like that and you seek them out and you're like, look, I'm young, I'm hungry, this is what I want to do, I'm looking for a mentor, is that something you could help me with? And maybe 90% of the time you'll get rejected back, but I think that's something I'm going to start looking for soon, is someone that can mentor me just from, like, an altruistic standpoint, because there's got to be people in their 40s or their 50s that have achieved everything they want in business and success, and they've got a family, and they're maybe looking to give back in a more altruistic way. And I think there's no better way to learn from people, to have that one-on-one mentorship if they're willing to give it. So that's something I think I'm going to start seeking out soon, as some sort of mentor, as I try to make something of myself.
Liam, I am very sorry. I'm getting about 5 phone calls from work now. I'd like to jump on a call with them.
Okay. What we can do is we'll end it here, and then give me a phone back after and we can finish it. Yes,
mate. Happy days. Is that all right?
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, jump off and then give us a shout back.
That's fine, mate. Cheers.
No worries, mate. Bye-bye. All right, we're back. Harry had a very important call. I believe it was the President of the United States. He was...
yes, we're on good terms, me and him.
He was asking for some immediate backup. I believe that Harry's on his way with some...
He's wanting my advice for his regular stuff, you know?
What should I have for lunch? What time should I wake up at? How should I treat my wife? Harry's got all the answers.
I've got them all. I've got them all in my back pocket.
Alrighty. Let's jump back in. We veered off onto mentors and stuff for a while. I've got two questions for you left, mate. And then we'll bump it there, mate. My first question, I know you as a very happy fellow. That's my idea of you in my mind. You're always smiling, you're always laughing. But I know that different people struggle with different things. So, one question I've got for you is, where have you felt the most pressure or the most anxiety in your life in the past? And where have you seen the biggest improvement in something that you used to be bad or anxious or worried about in the past?
There's a few things I could say for this, to be fair.
If you've got a few,
when I used to first meet folk, I used to be very like kind of paranoid or kind of like cautious of what their opinion on me was going to be after that first meeting. So I feel like for ages I was never actually like properly myself when I was meeting new folk. It took me a while, like, yeah, you want to make a good impression on folk, so you don't want to be too forward or anything, or too much yourself almost, do you know what I mean? I was like that for quite a while.
That's surprising me, because knowing you in socials, like, interactions always seem so effortless. I never knew that there was like a thought process, a conscious thought.
There was for a while, mate. I'd be like quite paranoid, like, oh fuck, what if I say something wrong here, or what if they think I'm a bit of a weirdo?
Really?
But I got to a point where I was travelling with folk in the car for work, right? And it's folk you don't necessarily know. So people will say, like, on this page, like, travelling from Portsmouth to Scotland. And they'll say, like, giving people lifts if they need one. So you jump in, listen to these folk, and there's these boys that I went with quite a few times. And then it was like a couple of weeks we've been doing these journeys together. And then you get more comfortable naturally. And I was talking to my aim, and you're funny as fuck. I was like, where's this came from? I was like, I've just been fucking more reserved up until now because you know what, I go kind of full throttle at the start.
Aye.
And that's like I realised, like, you may as well just be the way you normally are, and if you don't like you, you don't like you, fuck it.
Awesome. So is that something you carry into, like, everyday life now, that you're just always yourself first off?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a lot more confident now. Like, I can just go like talk to anyone, or even in work, like talking to folk, just like, fuck it, just come across as confident, be yourself, and if they think you're a dick, like, you're a dick. Something else you can do about it, you're not going to change their mind, do you know what I mean? That's just the way you are.
Mate, do you ever get cunts that actually think that you're a dick? Because that seems like it would be few and far between.
Nah, I'm an arsehole, mate.
I mean, I know you're an arsehole, but I just thought other cunts thought you were sound.
Aye. Well, I don't know, can I try and, like, put a blind eye to it? If I think that someone thinks I'm a dick, I'll just try to keep it that way. Because I'm like, well, what's the point? I want to be around those, but I try to change their mind. I mean, that's what I've kind of went off. Like, if someone doesn't like you, I used to be, like, obsessed with why does this person not like me?
Yeah.
I'd make it my mission. I'm like, they will be my friend.
What, you used to do that in the past? If they didn't like you, you'd be like, oh, yeah. Befriend them somehow.
Yeah, if they didn't like me, I'd be like, what reason could they have to not like me? What have I done wrong? I'm like, I feel like angry. I'm like, fuck them, they will be my friend.
I'll fucking make them. I'll bend their arm.
I will make them my friend.
Like me.
I'll be the most charming man on earth.
Mate, you are a very charming man. Do you ever think...
Thank you.
What's the...
And then...
So just expanding on that before you go on your next one. Sorry, I've just fucking smacked my mic right in the mouth. Gave it a fucking...
I was wondering what that was. I heard the...
That was a left, right, good night for me, mate. It was a Liam Lawson special.
Oh, God.
Served him up.
What's that?
I fed him dinner. Anyways, what were we saying? For me, I've always, like... It might be different for you. I feel as if you're kind of universally liked. That's how it comes across from an outside perspective. For me, I feel as if I'm quite a polarizing figure. So I've always understood that people either really like me and really get along. Like, our relationship's amazing. And the relationships I have with my close mates, like, I absolutely love them. And I think that feeling's reciprocated. I have a good sense that feeling's reciprocated. They really enjoy my company and who I am. But I also understand that there's a lot of people out there that really fucking don't like me. And I actually get it. Like, it doesn't... I realised this maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and it doesn't offend me anymore, because I realised that I actually, like, to some people, I must be really abrasive and really annoying. So I've been quite lucky.
Do you know, the only reason that could be is some people get, like, I think, like, threatened or, like, envious by, like, interesting people. So say, like, yourself, that... you'll happily just go fuck off and say, right, I'm going to this place for a couple of months and I'm going to go to that place, and you're pretty carefree. You just cut about and do what you want to do.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people that want to do that, but they just don't have the bottle to do it. And for that reason, they might channel that anger at themselves, at someone like you that is doing it. And they're like, oh, he's a weird cunt, or he's this and that, because you're doing what you want to do. And there's people who will get stuck in these brides that they'll start telling a story and then they'll ask you about yours, and your story's fucking like 10 times cooler, do you know what I mean? Because you're out in the world and stuff. Then that might get that impression. They go, oh, actually, you know what, I don't like him because he's actually more of an interesting person than I am.
Maybe there's some of that in there, but yeah, I mean, I can't say for it. It's going to sound egotistical if I'm like, it's because I'm more interesting than every cunt.
That's a kind of, you don't know how to agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty interesting, yeah.
Which isn't necessarily true, but I think that being a person who people have strong emotions about is a good thing. So people very strongly like you, and you'll maybe have very few people who very strongly dislike you. And for me, I have quite a few people that very strongly like me, and I probably have quite a lot of people that very strongly dislike me. And I'd rather be someone...
I can't give anyone that dislikes you.
Mate.
I can imagine we don't want out people on the podcast. I know you've only got a few names. We can discuss that on private calls.
Yeah, it's a private one, but it doesn't matter. Is the thing is, like, I'd rather be someone that people felt strongly about regardless, because I think it means you're doing something right. I think it means that you are entirely yourself, because if you're just a fucking middle of the road, I'm gonna be a sheep, I'm just gonna be a normal person, I'm gonna do my own thing, I'm not gonna offend anyone, then you're not gonna make a fucking impact. You're just gonna be a piece of fucking vanilla ice cream, a fucking ham sandwich of a human being. And it's just like, what's the point? You might as well be, if you're fucking abrasive and annoying and kids hate you, like, you're doing something right, I think.
Exactly, mate. If someone's got that much of opinion on you, there's obviously a reason for it. Do you know what I mean? You're doing something right, that you're just being completely yourself, that you're not caring, you're not trying to fit in to swerve their emotions.
Yeah, I think there's value in being different. I was listening, podcasts I can actually name. I was listening to one today with a guy called Alex Hormozzi, and he was a guy that came from like a middle class background, had like 20 grand, and he built it up to like 100 million. Like, I'll send you a link to him. Like, his story's fucking amazing. And one of the things he noticed, he's like in his late 30s now, I think. He says one of the things he noticed, that any time the mass majority told him not to do something and he did it anyways, that's where he's seen the biggest leaps in success.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest leaps in his life have came from the things that other people thought wasn't possible or he shouldn't do. But because he just did them anyways, they've actually led to the biggest improvements in his life. So maybe that's something that's...
that is such an interesting perspective.
Yeah, and this is a guy that's came from nothing and ended up in the hundreds of millions. Like, mate, his perspective's so interesting. I need to link you, but... yeah, worth giving a listen to. And what was that second one? You were going to mention something else there of one of the other improvements you've made.
This is slightly more trivial, isn't it? It's like deep. But do you know what? It's been like the most kind of like scared I've been in my life, I think. Like for like a longer period of time, like anxiety wise.
Hit me.
See, when I was learning to drive, mate, holy shit.
You were that nervous?
I'm not even kidding. See, when I used to like walk to my driving lesson, so I was like walking through the base because I was getting the girl outside the gate. So I was walking through the base, my stomach would be fucking like flipping about. I'd be like sweaty hands. I'd be saying to myself, I don't want to do this. Like, I do not want to get in that car, but I know I need to learn to drive. And see, that's for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It didn't change. I'd be so like nervous, and I hated it.
Mate,
that was such a weird feeling because I just thought I'd be confident with it. I thought, I'd be a piece of piss. Like, fuck me. It was not.
That's wild to hear that from you, mate. Like, that's another thing that I never would have known about you, that you would have such nerves about. I mean, driving tests and driving is somewhat scary, but a lot of people go into it thinking, this is, like, they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's wild hearing from you, one of the most confident people I know.
The testing part was fine.
But
Thank you.
The learning to drive, like, coming from you, one of the more confident people I know. That's wild to hear, mate.
It was awful, mate. I used to sit there, but fuck this. I'm going to learn to drive. Fuck it. I'll get a bus everywhere.
I bet you're glad that's not reality.
On the road, I was so shaky and that. I just stall all the time. She'd be like, "What's wrong with you? Like, calm down." And I'm like, "I don't know what's happening, but I don't like it."
Oh, mate, is that something that still exists in your day-to-day life? Like, is there any new things? Have you got into things with more confidence and more gusto now?
Not at the moment, really.
Yeah.
Even like work-wise, I don't get as nervous with like new things. I'll just like see if there's like a new like defect. I don't know any kind of reason what it's going to be. I'll happily just kind of get in about it and start pulling things out and see what's happening.
Okay.
It's just that the driving thing was just the worst for me. I hated it.
That's wild, mate. That's mad to hear. That is.
Yeah.
Have you noticed, or is that something you paid attention to, that in the past the disparity between those internal emotions of you being anxious about that, you being anxious about how people perceive you, and what you actually give out into the world, which is this extremely sociable, extremely confident, like no one can hurt him, he's friends with everyone. Have you noticed that there's a disparity between those internal emotions and how you're perceived by the world before?
You know what? I'm going to have to ask you a question.
Hit me.
I don't know what disparity means.
Disparity means a difference.
I went to go to answer that. I was like, I don't know what that word is.
Disparity means like the difference. So there's a disconnection, pretty much. A disconnect between how you're perceived by the world. So how you're perceived by the world as this extremely confident person doesn't line up with those internal emotions of being anxious. I mean, this may be a pasture at this point, because I know you're trying, or you're doing better at this, and you no longer care about people's opinions as much.
I'm with you now.
But there's a disconnect there in the past. Is that something you noticed in the past?
I feel like when I was saying about the whole kind of try to be more like reserved in that at the start, I think there was a connection to the way you're being perceived. I feel like on the outside, I was getting perceived better the less I kind of cared. You know what I mean? So like the more I got wrapped up in my own thoughts and the more I got wrapped up in what people were thinking and that, you do get yourself more in a kind of stressful situation and you do act not yourself, you act different. That's the only connection that I made, that I think that the kind of less that you cared on the inside, the less you cared about what people were thinking or how things were coming across, the better you were coming across and the more kind of success you were with like relations and stuff.
Yeah, it's a weird paradox there, that the less you actually try, the more you're just a human being and the better people react to you. It's a fucking strange way.
Yourself.
Yeah.
And you have that kind of weight off your shoulders before you're worrying about like, oh, what if I come across weird here? What if they don't like me here? Or what if I say something stupid? That when you're not caring, you're just like you're not bothered. I mean, if they don't like you, they don't like you. If you say something stupid, say something stupid. It doesn't play in your mind. You're not overthinking things. You're just kind of going with the flow and just going as it comes. Like even this, before we came on here, when I was saying to you, I was like, oh shit. I was like, I'm nervous. Don't know what I'm going to say. I'm not very interested. I don't know why you fucking want me on this podcast.
See, that's a wild...
And then once we got on, and you just let it flow. Then
that's a wild thing for you to say as well. When you're like, you've done that before as well. Where you're like, oh, I'm not that interested. You're a fucking very interesting guy. You have fucking weird anecdotes. You're in the fucking Navy. I know you've got all sorts of different pursuits. We played rugby in the past. I know you've got all these little different things that you're interested in and you've tried, and we talk about fucking Lord of the Rings, and like for this guy that goes to the gym and smashes out these massive, like, what are you benching these days?
117.5.
Right, guy that goes to the gym and can bench 117.5 is secretly into Lord of the Rings and is asking me about the Rings of Power series and what we think of it.
Oh, there's no secret, mate. I'm out there.
You're like
I tell you what, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings.
You're a Clark Kent figure, mate. You're like a handsome Superman that's into fucking... well, he's into his Microbots, mate, to bring it full circle here.
There we go, mate.
Mate, that is...
I mean, you've never seen myself and Clark Kent in the same room, so you never know, mate.
Yeah, mate, if I see you flying across the sky, just fucking saving cunts in the air and that, I'll know who
I'll give you a saucy wink.
A saucy wink from a blonde man in the sky, mate.
As I fly by.
Right, I think we've brought that full circle, mate, so I'm going to finish it off in a little bit of a different way. So I've been having more of a think about how I want to do the podcast, and I think something for the future, in the very near future, what I want to do is, as much as possible, the people that I bring on the podcast, I myself do something that is related to their lifestyle or their job. So I want to do like a sort of day in the life, and when I'm in Melbourne, I can actually go to these places. I could go to someone that roasts coffee and roast coffee with them for a day. I could go with someone that runs marathons and go and fucking run a marathon with them. I could go to someone that works in a different job and just learn how to do that, like, and so on and so on and so on. So from afar, is there anything I can do that would be congruent with what you would do in the Navy? Like, how could I live a day in the life of a Harry Taggart? Or give me at least one thing that I could do, I could practice, whether it's a ritual, a habit, anything.
That is a tough question.
Here, ask the hard ones, mate.
Yeah. Fuck. I think something that you could do just in a day.
In a day, in a few hours, if it's a fucking habit you have when you wake up in the morning, you fucking crack 3 eggs and you eat them whole. I don't know anything. What's different about your day compared to other people's?
Oh, do you know what I could say to you? That this is like recently a major incorporation in my day.
Hit me.
And it makes me so happy and just free.
Hit me.
Do you own Crocs?
I don't, mate, no.
Right, you do now. Get out there and get yourself a pair of Crocs. I'm not kidding, right?
Okay.
I mocked them at first, and then I've tried a pair on, right, and I bought them.
Mm-hmm.
See, getting out of my bed and just getting my Crocs on. Walking about, mate. This has changed actually how my day-to-day life goes. I'm not kidding, right? They are just so useful. You can walk about in them normally. When I'm driving, you put them into sport mode, you put the heel down, and it catches in the back of your heel. You can drive in them. And I feel, honestly, it's so freeing because it's not like you're wearing sliders where you feel a bit exposed to the elements. It's not like trainers because you're looser.
Yeah.
And actually, I think it's genuinely, this sounds stupid, I think it's actually genuinely upped my happiness since I've bought Crocs.
It's a game changer then.
I love them. Mate, honestly, I wear these more than any other footwear that I own now.
Right, mate, I'm going to try. I want you to send me a picture of you with your Crocs on, and I will acquire a pair of Crocs. I'll try. I think...
Honestly, game changers.
Someone must have a pair. My problem is, right, I've got fucking stupid legs, so one is slightly taller than the other. So I've got to wear insoles. So I need to have Crocs that will work with insoles, mate. So,
Mate, they'll work. Don't worry about it.
Nah, they'll do everything. I'll stick them in a sports mode and I'll be good.
Yeah, you can run, you can walk. They're just so freeing.
Right.
And I don't know why, it's made me happier owning Crocs. I just love them.
Right. In the meantime, I'll do the Crocs, but I think, see, at some point in the future when this podcast blows up, mate, we'll do a proper day in the life. I'll fly out, we'll get a canoe.
Yeah.
We'll get a canoe and we'll play Navy warships. We'll unlock load or something, right?
Let's do that.
Sorted, mate. Cool. I think that's what's going to wrap up, mate. Is there anything you want to say? I mean, I think the only people listening to this are close friends of ours. I think McGlitch listens, Steeps listens, a few other people, my brother and that. Anything you want to say to these cunts, or maybe other people who listen in the future?
Just thank you for listening to what I have to say. Do you know what I mean? I know it might not be everyone's cup of tea. In my opinion, it might not be similar to anyone else's. It's just nice having a perspective of other people's. And if I've given you anything that you are taking away for it, then I'm glad. And if I haven't, then that's fine also.
Beautiful, mate.
You know?